The Joe Rogan Experience.
Do you think that's because you're John Lennon's son? Like, there's a burden that is very unique to you.
And
people like
I
you.
certainly recognize that there's walls up, without question.
What is that like? Like, what are the walls? Like, do you think it's just they dismiss you because
something's going on? I mean, I've discussed this with Rebecca, who you met, my manager, and a few other people. You know, there's occasions where I'll be totally blanked, like with the last album I came out with, Jude. Which took, in between 5 and 30 years to write and record. It was old songs and new songs that I wanted to balance the sound. And it was at a time when I'd gone through a lot of changes myself. And I had decided to finally be Julian. I'd been John Charles Julian Lennon all my life. But everybody had always known me as Julian. Even mum and dad called me Julian. So I'm like, you know what? I want to be me finally. So by deed poll in 2020, I said, right, I'm going to be Julian now, and the album's going to be called Jude. And the reason I called it Jude was it was finally not only an acceptance, but actually. What's the terminology? I'm actually taking ownership, should I say, of the name Jude, and what that represented for all these years to other people and to me.
Right.
So anyway, I that was the album was a biggie for me. Calling the album Jude for a start is inciting.
Right.
Hopefully positive things. But the weird thing was, I put this whole band together, and I wanted to, as a starter, to go on all the TV shows that I'd always ever wanted to appear on. For instance, in England, like Jules Holland. Later with Jules Holland, which is the only live music show that I've watched all my life, literally. There's Graham Norton, which and I'd done their radio shows, which is really, really weird. And we got on like a house on fire, and I performed live, and that all went down well. And then it was kind of like, see you on the real show. Producers turned me down. And and same with a lot of the late night American shows. Got just didn't. They weren't interested. And I'd done the name change. I'd been away for 10 years. I'd called the album Jude. There was a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
And a great deal more than I'm presenting right now. Anyway, I was turned down, and that still happens to me, which saddens me, because just when you feel like you want to open up, and answer any question you can throw at me, I've not been allowed to. That's what it's felt like, that I've not been allowed to speak my piece, whatever that is.
Well,
on whatever subject matter.
It's weird. It's like the gatekeeper aspect of it is weird, but it's also weird. Like, why not? Like, what would be the hesitance?
I don't understand.
It's the idea of the son of a great man, and there's this weird. We have a dismissal, and I'm very guilty of it myself.
Yeah.
The son of a great man, I always assume like, that guy's fucked. He's fucked.
Yeah,
like the burden's too high. Your dad was John Lennon. He's iconic.
Well, and I think with a lot of people, they don't want anybody to interfere with that. I mean, how dare the son come along and even try and be better in any way, shape, or form, or be as good as, or whatever,
or whatever. Yeah, you're immediately dismissed.
Which is why to a certain degree, photography really appealed to me. Number one, because, and the reality is, I prefer it behind the camera. I don't mind being a goofball once in a while, doing in front of the camera things, but I'm not really comfortable there. but behind the camera, and traveling is what I have a foundation called the White Feather Foundation, and we try to help people all over the world. And it started. I know that you have interest in indigenous cultures,
Sure.
and I don't know if you know the backstory to the White Feather Foundation at all.
I don't.
Okay, so here we go.
Okay.
I was on tour with probably my most, at least outside of America, most well-known song. It was at number 1 and top 10 in countries all over the world except for America. And it was called Saltwater. And Saltwater is about environmental and humanitarian issues. And I was number 1 in Australia. I was doing all kinds of shows. I was doing promo and tour as well. And I found myself in Adelaide, and I got this call from the hotel management saying, excuse me, Mr. Lennon, but there's an Aboriginal tribe down here with TV crews who want to say hi. And I thought it was like an on-the-road prank. I said, yeah, sure. Why would they be coming to see me? And they called back and they said, no, this is serious. Can you come down, please? And so I think TV crews, Aboriginal tribe, what's this about? And so I kind of get dolled up a little bit because I don't know what the TV shows are or cameras.
Right.
Yeah, so I go down. And in the lobby, there's a little platform and about 30 people, half of them Indigenous, TV crews, bunch of other stuff. And I honestly have no idea what it's about. And this woman, who was the elder of this particular tribe called the Murning people, walked up to me and presented me with a male swan's white feather, which is about yay big, and said, can you help us? You have a voice. Can you help us? And I just kind of went, well, do I just continue being the rock and roller, or do I step up to the plate, whatever that means? And so
What specifically did they want help with?
Well, I'll tell you. Initially, I didn't know what their problems were. I imagined that it would be the same as most other indigenous tribes around the world that have had issues, And they said, can you help us? And I said, I'll do it for the children. So I guess what I was saying is the next generation I can, try and. Anyway, so I that this woman was called Iris. She was the elder. She's since passed in the last year or so. But I spent 10 years making a documentary with a best friend, Kim Kindersley, who initiated this whole thing. And we made a documentary called Whale Dreamers, independent. We had no money really behind it, no sponsorship. We won about 8 international independent film awards, which was great. But the backstory to this is that Dad had said to me, and I couldn't tell you when or where, just was one of those times that we were together. He just said that, if something ever happens to me, that I'll let you know that to let you know that I'm okay, or that we're all going to be okay, will be in the form of a white feather.
Whoa. So
when that woman presented me with the white feather, the goosebumps came on heavy. I get them now every time I talk about the story.
I'm getting them right now.
So, yeah, there she is. There's Iris, and there's Bunna, who's one of the other guys.
That is so crazy.
I still have that. I still have that in the original envelope that she gave it to me, and it's it's in a very special place at home.